Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Boston Public Library. And on behalf of our President, David Leonard, and our entire team, I just want to tell you how thrilled we are to have all of you here today in this beautiful building. As many of you may know, this is the oldest public library in the United States. And as the city has grown and changed, the library has also adapted to stay current and become a truly 21st century resource. As those of you who walked through on the Boylston Street side, which was an $80-odd million investment that the city made, we have by far the most modern library in the country, with GBH in there, and one of the most beautiful old buildings in the country as well. So we feel like we're bridging both parts of that and staying as relevant as we can to the city, to the Commonwealth, and literally to the world in terms of the information that we make available to people. We continue to refresh and expand our programs and our facilities, both here downtown and in the 25 branches across the neighborhoods of Boston, ensuring that we can engage every community, and especially the city's young people, in ways that make them connected to this modern world. And that's why we're so excited to host today's event with AT&T. You're here. First of many rounds of applause. AT&T is working hard to bring new resources to Boston's youth so that they too can take advantage of our modern, connected digital world and enable them to impact their communities. I know I'm not the only one who's excited about hearing what these kids can do. So thank you once again for being here, and my real purpose today is that I have the honor of welcoming an old friend and one of the great leaders in Boston, AT&T's New England president, Patricia Jacobs.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for everything you do for this incredible institution. The library is a beautiful and vibrant place, much due to your hard work and your efforts. We are so excited to be here today to announce the launch of this new program, AT&T Positively Digital. It's about equipping our youth with the leadership skills that they need to succeed in the digital era. But before we kick things off and start the program, I really need to recognize and thank a few people we have in the room who have been instrumental to our success. First of all, Governor Charlie Baker is here with us today. Boston's Mayor Martin Walsh is here with us. Business leader, community leader, philanthropist, founder and co-chairman of Camp Harborview, Jack Connors is here. Also, the president of Camp Harborview, Sharon McNally, is here with us today. Nicholas, president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Boston, Josh Kraft, is here with us today. The founder and president of the Base, Robert Lewis Jr., is also here. Thank you for your leadership and partnership. Also here with us today from AT&T is our Senior Executive Vice President, Joan Marsh, as well as our Vice President and General Manager, William Stovall. So we all know that technology plays a critical role in our lives, and being constantly connected can present both real opportunities, but sometimes real challenges. Sometimes it works to benefit and enrich our lives, and sometimes it creates risk and uncertainty, especially for our youth. This program is about supporting our youth and helping them make positive choices online. And so we're so happy and grateful to be able to partner with 3 of Boston's most respected youth organizations. I just mentioned their leadership. Those organizations are Camp Harborview, the Base, and the Boys and Girls Club of Boston. Specifically, we're thrilled to be providing $500,000 in grant money, so that they can create their own programs related to digital leadership based on the needs of their youth participants and what they want to work on in their communities to bring positive change. This program is part of AT&T Believes. It's our nationwide commitment to engaging in the neighborhoods where we live and work. When we first reached out to Camp Harborview, the Base, and the Boys and Girls Club of Boston, they were all in with us. These organizations cultivate and nurture Boston's leaders, and they recognize that technology is changing the way we think about leadership. And if our kids are going to succeed in the future, they have to be equipped to think about the choices they're making online. Together, our goal is to promote critical thinking, encourage positive online behaviors, and inspire civic engagement. And so we want to thank the incredible youth leaders who are here with us today. You guys raced here from after school to get here. We're so excited to learn from you. Yes, you guys are going to teach us what it means to be digital leaders, and we thank you for that. So next, we will do a short panel discussion on leadership in the digital age. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Davian from Camp Harborview, Noel from the Boys and Girls Club of Boston, Sam from the Base, as well as Governor Charlie Baker, Mayor Martin Walsh, Mr. Jack Connors, and Mr. Robert Lewis.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm Brooke Thompson, Vice President of External Affairs for AT&T Massachusetts. I want to echo what Patty said. We're thrilled to be here today. I'm going to be moderating our fantastic panel. So with that, our first question is actually going to come from Davian from Camp Harborview.
My question is for Mayor Walsh and Mr. Connors. At Camp Harborview Leadership Academy, we're working on understanding how social media can be a positive force for change in our communities and learning how to design social media campaigns. How do you think social media can be a positive force in bringing change in our communities?
Thank you very much, Jack. First of all, thank you for the question. And I think social media used properly can tell the story. And I think there's an opportunity through those different outlets in social media to promote a program, to help support a program, to use it in many different ways. Let me go back to campaigning for a minute. When I ran for mayor, when I ran for re-election for mayor this last time in 2017, we really spent some money on social media outreach to people because you're reaching a clientele, a population of people that otherwise don't read the newspaper per se every day, aren't necessarily following the mail every day, and using that to have very targeted messages to let people know what we're doing in the city of Boston, what I've done as mayor, and what I want to do in the future. So I think when you use social media on a platform in a positive manner, I think it helps. The other side of that story is that, unfortunately, there's too much negativity, in my opinion, in social media today, that people use that as a kind of amplification of a very bad message. But I think really focusing on organizations like, whether it's the Boys and Girls Clubs, whether it's Camp Harborview, whether it's the Base, using social media can really bring awareness to what you're doing, how do you reach out to other young people, and how do you send positive messages dealing with issues like bullying, issues like addiction, issues like a whole bunch of other things that people can understand where they get their information from.
Just to add to that, I think life is really all about choices. And you can take the positive example, or you can take the negative. And there's plenty of both to go around. But if you look at this building, this is a positive example of people, leaders, caring about the education of the folks that live in the city. This was the first example of that. If you listen to our amazing governor and wonderful mayor, you understand that their lives are really examples. The governor is a Republican, the mayor is a Democrat, and in Washington, D.C., there are plenty of examples of Republicans and Democrats who can't work with each other. But in Massachusetts and in Boston, we have examples of a governor and mayor from different parties with the same objective, to be great examples. People like you, by the way, I must say, I love your T-shirt. So it's really all about choices. And I think there's an opportunity for taking the right road or the wrong road. And it's all about what all of these organizations stand for, what BASE stands for, the Boys and Girls Club, Camp Harborview. It's all about giving folks a positive option and a positive example, so that the folks that are the staff of these organizations are handpicked because of their amazing attitudes towards helping others. That's what the governor does all day long, that's what the mayor does all day long, and that's what these organizations, and they're very impressive leaders and staff, do every day to try and be a great example. And so social media is a very powerful tool. Probably nothing quite like it in the history of the world. But that power can be a force of good if it's used that way. And that's always the best way.
Thank you, Mayor and Mr. Connors. Our next question is going to come from Sam from the base.
My question is going to be for the governor and Mr. Lewis. So right now,
Yeah, I love that. They call you the governor.
how do you guys think adults and kids model respect during social media, and what advice would you give kids to keep it going?
So I think to sort of pile on a little on what was said before, I try never to say anything on social media that I wouldn't say to you if you were sitting next to me, okay? I think one of the great problems with social media, when you think about the downside, is the anonymity and the distance that comes with it. There's a humanity, there's a connection that comes with humanity, and humanity connection, more often than not, is person to person, face to face. And the single biggest thing I would say about modeling behavior on social media is don't engage in any behavior you wouldn't engage in if you were actually sitting next to the person that you're talking to. The second thing I would say is I think it's a myth that the stuff that travels fastest on social media is negative. There's no question that there's a lot of negative stuff and a lot of outreach that gets a lot of traffic, but there's also a lot of stuff on social media that just connects. And I think the more you can do to try to make whatever your messaging is about good things that are happening and positive things that are happening, there's no, it's a choice, right? You can choose to play down here, right? Or you can choose to play up here. And I think especially for young people, the more time you spend playing up here, and you'll attract people into your social media circle who want to play up here too. And the more time you spend down here, you're more likely to end up with a whole bunch of people who want to play down there too.
Thank you, Governor. There's a few things I think about. You know, people are watching. People are watching. And, you know, a big thing for me is there's so many great things that are happening, you know, from block to block, neighborhood to neighborhood throughout the city of the Commonwealth. So a big part for me is around everything's about asset-driven messaging, right? Because a lot of it is negative, a lot of it is calling folks out. You know, Jack was just talking about, you think about, you know, the governor and the mayor. Too many folks think about that D and the R and not think about the commonality of messaging and folks coming together. And I actually think we're more alike than unlike. You know, so, you know, this whole idea of just putting up great stories. Our young folks throughout the city are incredible, doing incredible things, right? So we almost have to shut out the messages of bullying, the messages of negativity. And what we need to do is highlight and promote and share. And you know, especially you young generation, I've learned this, you know, at the base, and I can imagine Camp Harborview Boys and Girls Club. You know, the best way to recruit young folks is it's you. It's you're tagging folks, you're reaching out, you're telling that story. So I think the more we as adults could continue with positive messaging, but also celebrate our young folks that are just doing great things. So I'd rather, like all of us today, I'm looking at folks get their phones out and videotape it. This is what we need to blast. Because all of a sudden in a space like this today, look at who's up at this panel. How often do you get a governor, a mayor, business leaders, folks from neighborhoods and others that are here celebrating what's good in our young folks? Let's keep telling that great story.
It sounds like it's on.
All right, it's on. All right. So I'm Noel Gallagher from the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. And one of the projects that we are excited about is creating podcasts about leadership at our radio station in the Charlestown Boys and Girls Club. We plan to interview leaders in the community about leadership in the digital era. My question is for all four panelists, and what advice would you give kids today about leadership generally, and what do you think it means to be a leader in the digital age?
I'll jump on this first and turn over. I think, first of all, congratulations on the podcast. I love podcasts because it's honest. You can have a real honest conversation. And I've only been on probably half a dozen podcasts since I've been here. But they've been some of the funnest conversations we've had because you can go a little deeper in the conversation. You can talk about your life, you can talk about how you got to a certain point, you can talk about challenges you might have had and obstacles that you overcame. And so those are important to have that. I think leadership, a couple of things. Number one is treat people as you'd want them to treat your family. Be honest. Don't be afraid to admit a mistake. All of those things are qualities that a lot of times people don't always do. When they make a mistake, they try to dig a hole to get out of it. What they're doing, they dig themselves deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then eventually at the end of the day, they'll say, I'm sorry. And I think that's part of being a leader. It's important to acknowledge you should know. Leaders don't all have all the answers. Everyone on the stage, we don't have all the answers on every question, and that's, you should admit that if that's the case. I think with leadership, it's important. And I also think it's important to understand, no matter who you are, all the young people in this room today, and everyone in this room today, everyone in this room is a leader in your own right. You might not be the leader of your crew that you hang with, but you're a leader. And by being young, by being smart, by being here in this room itself and being part of the organizations, whether it's the base, Camp Harborview, or Boys and Girls Club, whatever organization is, you're a leader just by being part of that. And don't be afraid to show that, to express those qualities that you might have deep down inside of you. When I was in grammar school, I was a pretty quiet kid. When I was in high school, I was kind of a quiet kid. When I got out of high school... Seriously? Yeah. When I got out of high school, I got a little more loud, a little more confident. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
I just give you a slight variation on that question. We talk about leadership. Let me give you a classic example from the history of leadership. We're about to celebrate the D-Day invasion of Normandy, the anniversary. And Winston Churchill, by the way, wanted to go with the men. Eisenhower wrote a note, General Eisenhower, saying, if this goes bad, it's on me. When Eisenhower met with the troops, I looked them in the eye and knew that a number of them wouldn't be returned. They'd never see them again, but he did. He was sending them to die. But he wasn't afraid to be a leader, nor was Winston Churchill. And they made tough decisions, honestly. And there are a lot of people today who are very capable of making tough decisions, honestly. We have two of them who are elected who are at this on this panel today. AT&T makes tough decisions. AT&T is a big company. They don't need to do this. They don't need to reach out to Camp Harborview or these organizations and say, we're going to contribute to the social media. But that's about leadership. That tells you a lot about what an AT&T is. You know, we're all familiar with the logo, but this is what AT&T is all about. And to have this kind of partnership created with a big company that cares about, by comparison, very tiny organizations who are just trying to do good on the local level. That's called leadership.
So I think podcasts are really cool, and I wish you guys the best of luck on that one. I think one of the things I'd say is tell stories. I've not been in public life as long as the mayor has, and I was very loud when I was in high school. But the one thing I've learned is that people like stories, and sometimes when you're trying to explain something to somebody, the easiest way to get them into it is to tell them a story. And so with respect to the podcast, I would say spend more time telling stories than trying to, sort of walk your way through a set of goals or objectives or whatever that might be. And with respect to the leadership piece, what the mayor and what Jack said was spot on. The only thing I might add two things. One is really great leaders don't care who get the credit. In fact, really great leaders want everybody to feel like they succeeded. And they have a certain humility about the fact that their success or their failure, their success is ultimately going to be a function of the people around them. If it fails, they take the hit, right? And that's exactly what people gravitate to when it comes to leaders generally. And the second thing I would say is one of the most important things leaders do is they set a tone. And that tone has to do with things like honesty. Are people really going to tell each other what they think about ideas and directions and what you're up to or not? Are people really going to feel that they can be comfortable delivering bad news? Are people really going to feel that they're not going to be singled out if their point of view is a little different than somebody else's? And the third thing leaders can do with respect to tone is create that sense of respect. That notion that wherever you are in the organization, your opinion matters. And in every job I've ever had, I do a lot of walking around. And it makes the people who work directly for me kind of nuts because I end up talking to a lot of people I don't normally talk to. But I learn a lot, and people appreciate it when their voice, their experience, their point of view gets to be part of the conversation. And if I had to boil it all down, I would say that the biggest thing you need to be a great leader is you need to value others. There you go.
There's not too much. Folks laid it out. There's, for me, leadership is about action. People remember what you do, not what you always say. And at times, people say a lot. And I look at Patty. We know Patty doesn't love the public speak. We know that, but her actions speak louder than words because she does, right? And we need doers. Regarding the podcast, I love this. It's like, I just love stories. It's all about storytelling. And storytelling to me is like authentic stories, right? And, we've all have gotten here. And when we start thinking about the advice to young folks, I start saying, we were all where you were, right? The interesting thing is, we were young at 21, 22, doing a resume and bios. No one said we were good at it. It was just what we done. So your experience matters. And I would, if there's one thing I would ask every young person here today, don't leave here today not asking someone here that you may perceive to be a leader, to mentor you or to invest in you. Because one of the great things that we can do is invest in our next generation, because you will be the ones that will be educating the next generation of children. You'll be the doctors, you'll be the parents and grandparents and all. So just believe in yourself and don't be afraid to act. And sometimes we say jump in with both feet, right? Someone will be there for you. But I just thank you for being some of the greatest representatives of our city and our Commonwealth. And we're up here, but we celebrate you, it's very good news for everything you do.
Thank you. How about a big round of applause?
Wow, that was really spectacular. I want to thank the governor, the mayor, Mr. Connors, Mr. Lewis, thank you so much. And I am so impressed by Noel, W, and Sam. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing youth leaders. Your courage in getting up here on the stage and leading this discussion about leadership was really impressive. How about another round of applause for you? Now I have the pleasure of introducing 2 videos that we produced as part of this program, and we were so fortunate to have both the mayor and the governor participate in the filming of these videos with youth from Camp Harborview, the base of the Boys and Girls Club. The first is a PSA, a public service announcement that Mayor Walsh produced with the youth, and we know the kids had a great time with you, Mayor, and we hope that you had as much time filming it as they did. It's a short video, please enjoy.
When it comes to local pride and civic engagement, there is no place quite like Boston. We are known for our great schools, championship sports teams, world-class hospitals, and our rich history. I want to highlight another reason why Boston is the best. It's because of our young people. Today, our young people are interacting with technology in new and exciting ways. But advancements in technology are also bringing challenges. We hear a lot about bad things that happen online like bullying, but Boston is trying to change that. Our young people at Camp Harborview, the base, and the Boys and Girls Clubs are working together to make Boston even better, both online and offline. Where others try to tear down, our young leaders are building each other up. They are showing all of us how to stand up for each other and how to be the best citizens we can be. In the true Boston way, our kids are working together to make our community stronger, kinder, and more positive.
Be a leader!
Mayor Walsh, thank you so much for your time and your commitment to this program. Please join me on the stage, and thank you so much for everything that you've done for the youth of Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Let me just first of all thank AT&T, Patty, and the national team for doing this in Boston. There are 3 incredible organizations that are being mentioned tonight. The base, which does amazing work, and I've watched them do the work probably for the last 7 or 8 years. The Boys and Girls Club of Boston, who've been around forever, and Camp Harborview, who's been, I think, the 9th anniversary this year, 10th next year. Those organizations mean so much to our city. The governor talked a minute ago. One of the answers he said, I wish I had thought of it. Don't be afraid. As leaders, we don't do all the work. When something goes good, we get all the praise. When something goes bad, we take the criticism. But when something goes good, it's the people generally around us that do the work every single day. And when I think about Boston, I think about where we are as a city in America right now. There's a lot of talk about how we're becoming a safer city, and are we doing programs that are good for Boston, and less violence in the city of Boston. And the reason why we have so much success in our city, and the reason why our kids are so successful, and why we depend on them so much, is because of organizations like that we're here today to support. Without having those organizations, having an opportunity, Robert Lewis talked about asking somebody to be a mentor, or just saying, oh, those are so important for us. And as a city, we need to continue, as a state, and as a country, quite honestly, we should do more of this, reaching out to our young people, creating opportunities for our young people, because they need our support, because when we get older, we're going to need their support to help us to be leaders in this space. So I just want to thank AT&T. I want to thank the young people that are here. We're all proud of you. We're proud of the work you do. The happiest part of my day when I'm the mayor, when they ask me what's the best part of your job, the best part of my job, honestly, is when I'm with young people, and I get a chance to talk to them, whether they're little ones that ask me about, getting schooled off, or older kids talking about what the future is, that's the best part of my job. It is every single day. So we are so proud of the young people here in the city of Boston. I just want to thank you, AT&T Patty, for this. I want to thank Jan Connors for coming up and supporting Camp Harborview the way he has. I want to thank Robert Lewis for what he has done. I want to thank Josh Kraft and all of the different Boys and Girls Clubs across the region and the boards of directors. All of those folks could have done something else, put their time into something else. They haven't. They put their time into something that's making a real, lasting impact for the kids in the past that are now adults and for the future generations of our young people in the city. So thank you very much.
The second video is a video of Governor Baker having a discussion with 6 youth from the 3 organizations, the BASE, Camp Harborview, and the Boys and Girls Club of Boston. The governor spent, I don't know, somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour talking about leadership with the kids and getting their ideas and hearing what their thoughts on how leadership has changed in the digital era and the challenges that they face. And he shared a lot of his insights and perspectives and what he's learned through that. And so this video that you're going to see now is just a short excerpt from that conversation. So thank you. Enjoy.
Is a lot more connected and a lot more 24/7 than it was when I was your age. You guys pay attention to what your phone tells you about how often you're on it?
It sends you a message like, you've been on your phone for 8 hours, and I'm like, oh wait, let me put it down. Like,
It's always there. When I was a kid, if I didn't want to talk to somebody, just went home and shut the door. Wasn't that hard.
In this day and age, everyone's watching you. If you did something dumb in middle school, that follows you for the rest of your life, really.
One of the biggest challenges I see is the anonymity. I mean, think about it this way, you're sitting next to me. If we have a conversation, I gotta look you right in the eye. If I disagree with you about something, I'm probably gonna be a little more respectful.
And like you're building somebody, like you're doing it behind the screen. You don't have to like kind of face the consequences as much as if you do it in person. Then you feel like you can just keep on doing it.
As somebody who went through it, there wasn't like a guide of like, this is what you do when you're being bullied, or you don't have someone.
Who do you talk to? Right.
We still don't know all that social media has to offer, the good and the bad, but I think that it's really important that we start talking about it now.
Bringing awareness that it's not okay and that there is support out there for the people that are going through it, you know?
I mean, I think a lot about the amount of information that travels on social media that's just negative. You guys get any guidance about modeling behavior? Do you talk about that with teachers or family or friends?
When I was like 11 and first went into Camp Harborview, I like saw all these like staff and stuff like going to college, getting their education, just being real leaders, people of color being successful. And I think that that really helps is just see like what else is out there for them.
You can't be it if you can't see it.
Yeah.
I feel like whatever you put out there is gonna be seen by somebody else. So you're just like setting a good example.
Everybody has to, work on becoming a better community. And I feel like it starts at home, and it starts with, the people that we look up to.
And I guess one of the things leaders can do is to pop positive stuff out there. Things that people are doing that are great. Going to college, being counselors, serving as leaders in your communities. You're setting quite a road for yourself, and I hope that path takes you to some really special places. Patty and to AT&T for their leadership on this. And I'm going to riff off something that the mayor said, because he ripped off something I said. This notion of the best part of the job, okay? I say this all the time, that at some point over the course of the past 4 or 5 years, as I was touring the Commonwealth, doing this job, the thing I finally realized was that we have a lot of really great institutions and a lot of great organizations, but the reason we have great institutions and great organizations is because we have great people. It's that simple. All these organizations, what really makes them sing is the quality of the people who are part of them. So when you talk about Camp Harborview, when you talk about Jack and the team he's assembled over there, and you talk about the base, where'd Robert go?
Right here.
You're hiding there, bud. You talk about the base, you talk about Robert and the folks on his team. When you talk about the Boys and Girls Clubs, the folks who run those organizations, Josh and the rest of the team, are terrific. And then you talk about the kids who are part of those programs, who become leaders to kids who follow them in those programs. And I know that the folks we have here with us today are folks who are the sort of semi-grown-ups that a lot of the younger kids who come into those programs look up to, and they become the leaders for and the sort of modelers of behavior for the next generation of kids who are coming through the program. And the other thing I just want to say about these organizations in particular, one of the other great things about this job is I know there are literally hundreds, probably thousands of amazing community organizations all over the state. And I've been to way too many galas and way too many barbecues and way too many cookouts celebrating all of them. My wife finally said to me the other day, and also donating to them, my wife said to me the other day, she said, God, I hope this season ends soon because we're running out of money. And I think one of the things that's worth pointing out here is in a community with many, many, many really special community organizations that serve kids and do amazing work, Harborview, Boys and Girls Club, and the base were the ones that AT&T chose to partner with. And that's no skin off the nose of all the ones that didn't get picked, but it just simply speaks to the fact that these are great examples of excellence and great examples of success. And, you know, success lives here. That's always been the way Robert's talked about this place. These organizations and the many others like them that you and others in this room support, and that these kids who are here go to and become kind of the culture of the place, a big part of the success that all these institutions all over Boston and all over Massachusetts ultimately secure, it's because of the people who are part of all these organizations, who were young people once, grew up inside programs like this, in communities like the ones that we all support now, learned the lessons that they learned from those who were either older than them or the adults that they spent time with, and created, you know, over 300 years, this place we all call home. And it's something we should be mindful of and grateful about. And that's in many respects the thing I feel most of the time, which is that I'm just grateful that I get to be sort of, I have a ringside seat for what makes this city, this state so special. And this whole thing is just one more statement of a statement that gets made and has been getting made every single day for years in Boston and in Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Baker. Thank you, Mayor Walsh. This program would not be what it is and the success that it is and is going to be without your support. And we so appreciate the time that you've put into it already and your time here today. And thank you for counting on you. I also want to thank our partner organizations who we're collaborating with on this project. You know, it is our honor to be supporting the work that they do. Camp Harborview, the base, the Boys and Girls Club of Boston. It is our privilege to be affiliated with you and the kids that are in your organizations, and we're so excited about their futures. You know, we've been talking earlier about how, you know, the youth of today, they know how to do everything on their devices. My kids know more than I do. And so we really are looking to you and counting on you to teach us about how to be digital leaders. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming today. Thank you, Boston Public Library, Bob Gallery, for allowing us to do this event here. It's a beautiful and perfect space. And as we wrap up, the youth are going to be at tables around the perimeter of the room. They are wanting to talk to everyone about digital leadership and the specific programs that they're working on. So we hope everyone will take advantage of the opportunity to talk with them and learn from them about what they're going to be doing. Thank you so much for joining us today.